Everybody. Hey, everybody. My name is Leo Hollen. I'm a part of the board of Out on Film and also a co-coordinator of the Queer Film Alliance. And I'm here with Bobby Best, the amazing filmmaker behind Tens Across the Board, which is screening at this year's Out on Film Fest. It's going to premiere Saturday, October 5th at 8 p.m. at Outfront Theater. And will also be virtually available starting October 6th. Bobby, hello, how are you?
Hello, how you doing? Trying to avoid my trying to stop my phone from sinking. How you doing? I'm good.
Good, good. I am well. I am well. Thank you so much for asking, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us. So obviously, first of all, I want to say I really enjoyed the film, and I want to just ask you, starting off, like, what made you take this journey into documentary filmmaking? I looked at your website and you have like a big history and commercial video, marketing videos. What made you take the leap to create a feature documentary about Maven and Tens Across the Board?
Okay, so well, I've always been a huge fan of documentary ever since being a kid or whatever. I remember when I first saw Paris is Burning, and it's funny that was really one of my only experiences with ballroom. I grew up in Washington D.C. and I did know that there was somewhat of a voguing scene there, but I didn't know the depth of it. And I saw Paris is Burning one day, and I was like, wow, this is when I do film, I want to do this. I want to tell stories, like real stories.
Right.
Um, because a lot of times, real life is way more intricate and way more interesting than anything you could ever write, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah. So, fast forward, ain't gotta say how many years later, but fast forward later, and I find myself because of COVID in St. Louis, Missouri, after spending a lot of years in LA, and I came across Maven Lee. I just saw some videos that they were doing on Instagram. He kind of spearheads the ballroom movement here.
Right.
And yes, I just reached out and asked him if he wanted to do lunch. And it really started out as me just wanting to capture some video because I do a lot of corporate. That's how I make most of my money. And I needed something creative to kind of stretch.
Mhm.
And gaining that footage kind of got me a foothold. Sorry, got me a foothold in the scene here. People started kind of recognizing me, knowing me, and I talked to Maven one day. I was like, "Hey, we should do something with this footage." And then we kind of embarked on creating this documentary.
Perfect. That's amazing. Speaking of just like how you met with Maven and it sort of organically happened, coming from like a documentary background myself, how long did it take you to, shoot this? Did you plan the shoot? Did you plan the story? Or did you just go in, guns blazing, shoot it, edit? Like, how was that? And how was the festival run? How did that all like organically fall into place?
Okay, so initially when we first had our meeting, so a lot of people think that documentary is kind of synonymous with reality TV because it is real, right? And I kind of had to explain to Maven, no, it's not. Most of that reality TV is very scripted out and very, very structured, and that's how a documentary should be. At least, especially if you with a small crew, you don't have multiple crews that can be flying around here and there. So we sat down and he luckily we got together at the top of the year and there was a plethora of there's a whole calendar of events. And
Mhm.
then that turned into me kind of and by going to these events, I started learning the people who were on the scene and trying to pick out who had the most intriguing or the most in-depth personalities that I can kind of grab to kind of represent the film in certain parts. And I feel like I did a great job. I feel like we did a great job of kind of identifying that because like we really got some of the people who are on the forefront here, not only in ballroom specifically, but in just like the LGBTQI community here. And anyway, so yeah, so we just started doing that, and I say we filmed over about 8 months, which is kind of short for a documentary, but because of the transient nature of a lot of people who are here, I wanted to just get as much footage as I could, and then just kind of get in the editing room and just kind of sit with it and make it happen. So yeah, we shot over about 8 months, and then the edit took about 2 months. And initially, we wanted to just show it locally. I was like, well, we'll just show it locally. We showed it at the Cam Theater here, a Cam Museum, Contemporary Art Museum here. It was received so well. We decided to do a festival run, and you know, the I was a little nervous because I was like, well, if you do a festival run and we're going to these different cities, how many people are going to care about what's happening in St. Louis specifically? But what I learned is most people don't assume that there's a ballroom community outside of Chicago in the Midwest, because St. Louis is the Midwest.
Yeah.
It's the Midwest. The Midwest. You don't know if it's the Midwest. Yeah, it's the Midwest. Yeah, so we've been to DC, my hometown, which is really awesome. We've been to DC, Tennessee. There's there's it's it's still in the selection process for one in Brazil. We showed here at the Q Fest, which is Q Fest, yeah, Q Fest, which is the LGBTQI film festival here, and now you got so.
Awesome. That's
Mhm.
amazing. Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to, take it from just being so local to everywhere in the country because I think it's a really important story that everyone needs to see,
Mhm.
especially when you go through the different aspects of, ballroom. We have shade, runway, and then you touch on the really important aspect of just community. And I
Mhm.
was wondering, because documentary can sort of take on different shapes as you start filming, was having community and stories like Meoni's in the end, like part of that story from the beginning, or did you meet these people and throughout were you just like, oh, okay, let me follow you, or was it always an idea to like go deep into the community and focus on these specific people?
So initially, it was really supposed to be an education piece, just to kind of because I'll admit I did follow a lot of the structure of Paris is Burning because I mean
Mm.
it's a tried and true formula, right? Um, so it was like, okay, we'll just educate people on what ballroom is because a lot of people don't know. When you say ballroom, they think they're thinking like gowns and slow dancing and stuff, you know. So, but what happened? Yeah, it kind of evolved into the human element kind of started to kind of make its way into the story because I started to feel like if we just talk about shade and we talk about voguing and we talk about runway and everything, then these people aren't really they're not really people. They're more just characters. You see, the characters you see on TV or social media. But there's depth behind this. Like a lot of the I think there's a part in the film where Maven talked about how as beautiful as the voguing is and the movement can be, a lot of that comes out of pain. A lot of that comes out of experience and trauma and not to turn this film or the idea of this film into like trauma porn, but they're deeper than their talent, you know. And I wanted to showcase that somebody like Miani, who has kind of become a friend of mine, which is crazy. Like that's the homie. Um, she the the reverence and the position that she holds in this city in terms of being um I don't know, she's just like she's a comfort for people. She's a comfort for me. I'm a transplant here. I've been here 3 years, and I guess at that point I've been here like a year and a half, maybe two. And she just welcomed me in. She fried me up some chicken, and like we became just tight. Like that was, and she, even to this day, like she'll check in with me just to make sure I'm all right. Are you good? How you doing? What's up? Can I do anything for you? And yes, wanted to show, beyond the shade and beyond the all that stuff, there's a heart there, and we did that.
I really appreciate that, because even watching it when she came on the screen, I was like, she reminds me of my cousin. And I don't know if that's
Hmm.
who she is, if she actually does remind me of my cousin, or if she just reminds me
Okay.
of that cousin.
Yeah.
She's just
Yeah.
that, she has that sort of that motherly family like instinct that just feels so,
Hmm.
which
Agreed.
I love and appreciate that you displayed that in the movie and talked to
Thank
her.
you. Thank you.
Um, I do want to talk a little bit because whenever anything becomes too mainstream, no matter if it's like ballroom or a certain type of art, there's always this worry about it becoming diluted.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about how you and Maven took care to make sure that it wasn't sort of this, it didn't when you filmed it and made this movie, you didn't dilute the product. And Maven didn't dilute the product by creating tins, but sort of created this sort of safe space of ballroom culture. Can you talk a little bit about that and the process of making sure that you weren't exploiting when you document it?
I love that. Okay, so from the first time we met, me and Maven met at a coffee shop here, and his first thing was, "Hey, you're not of this culture. I can't let you come in and exploit my people." He said that. I remember saying that. You know what I mean? And like, I, I was a little offended, because I'm like, you don't know me
And
like
how'd you
that.
think
But
that? Right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. But like, later on, I understood it. It's a very of the moment thing. It is very, it's popping right now. Oh, not maybe not as much as it was like a year ago, but like it's still popping. It's on TV, it's on HBO, it's on all that. And yeah, I think with Maven's guidance initially, he
Mhm.
wouldn't allow it to go there. So everything from like making sure that every time that we were filming, people knew that there was a camera in the house. You know, people, there was waivers and just that, and even like it was important to him that, you know, share some of the footage, let people see what they're looking like on camera so that we're not portraying stereotypes, negative ones, or stereotypes in general, because nobody's a monolith, right? No group is a monolith. That was important for him. Like he was like, we're everybody. Amaria, um,
Mhm.
I don't know the exact line, but like she's big on that whole monolithic, like anti-monolithic thing. Like we're not just one thing, And yeah, I kind of I took that to heart because a lot of times, I would film stuff and as a documentarian, you get tears, you're like, oh, this is gold,
Mhm.
but sometimes that can come across as a little trauma porny, which is, can also come across as a little you're taking advantage, And I
Right.
didn't want to do that. So yeah, it was definitely a check that was initiated by Maven, and then I just kind of adopted it from there.
I
It's
hear that.
actually informed how I do interviews now going forward. So yeah.
I do want to talk about a possible challenge because I know when shooting something so intimate and so real, sometimes the filmmaker tends to become too close to the subject. Was
Mm,
that ever an issue with you because you sort of have to be this unintrusive view, like camera,
yeah.
documenting this without being too close so you can tell a real story? Did you ever find like have challenges in that?
I think um, you know, I hear what you're saying in terms of like you want to stay impartial, you want to stay kind of off. For me, I mean, I'm in the community.
Right.
Probably people know that, but I'm in the community, right? So like, so for me, honestly, I kind of went the opposite way. I put
Mhm.
myself in the story because a lot of these stories, um, a lot of the stuff that didn't make a lot of the parts of the interviews that didn't make the cut, they kind of just weren't on topic. But a lot of it was about self acceptance. A lot of it was about self realization, at different ages and all this stuff. And that stuff resonated with me so well. I found myself kind of I found myself kind of being in therapy to a degree with the camera on
Mhm.
facing the opposite direction.
Mhm.
So no, I was not professional. And I did kind of personalize a lot of the stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't think every project will be that way. Um, I mean, I know every project is that way, but this one I was cool with it being that way. And like I said, like I did cross the line with some of these people because we're like friends now. So like Miani, like that is my homie. Amaria, that is my homie. Like uh she's gonna kill me for not saying I can't think of I'm nervous right now. But I made a lot of good friends here, and yeah, I stand by that. I'm good with that.
I love that. I love that. I mean, speaking of the extra footage, you shot for 8 months. And do you ever have any hope to maybe like use some of that other footage with the series or something? Because it sounds like, based on what you're saying there, like there were all these amazing conversations that just couldn't make the cut because you obviously want to make sure that the movie is succinct and tells a specific story.
Mhm.
Do you plan to do anything with that extra footage? And how do you cut things that sometimes are so close to you, but like as a filmmaker, this doesn't fit in there? Like, because I know sometimes it's hard.
It's very hard. You get because you just can't be too intimate with the footage. Like you can't be too intimate with what you get. Um, I feel like as far as like doing other stuff with the footage, honestly, man, I don't think so. This is what I would like to do.
Mhm.
I would like, and this is anybody who's watching this who is involved with the film, get in touch with me, give me a hard drive, and I will give you your footage.
Mhm.
And you use that footage for social media because I mean it's beautiful footage when I shot it. So it's beautiful footage. One, two, you know, yeah, it's a I think it's a point of pride to be in something that people, multiple that a bigger audience will see. So if you want it, come get it. Give me a drive because I'm not giving drives. But like, yeah, I'm not giving drives.
Right.
Uh yeah, so and then also, honestly, like I love what this film is doing, but um I think I'm moving on in terms of like the next creative step. But the next project was actually influenced directly by this documentary. So maybe I will be able to use some of it. Who knows?
I
Mm-hmm.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you're an incredibly prolific filmmaker, incredibly prolific business person. I read your site. You left your desk job to start your own production business. What advice do you have for aspiring filmmakers, people that are just like have that desire to create, but they're stuck behind a desk? What advice do you have for them to just sort of like take that step and just like do it?
So can I don't want to hijack your question, but like,
Yes.
okay, but I'll say this. I feel like a lot of like just do it advice is
Mhm.
given to younger generations. All right. When I'm 45, when I was, I feel like nowadays there's way more encouragement to follow your dream. And right off the bat, just do it. Just do it. Do it. Do what you want to do. I am talking to my generation and a little like before and a little after. So what I would say is if you're not doing what you want to do, if you're not waking up and feeling fulfilled at the end of your days and all that, I get that bills are a thing. I get that kids are a thing. I understand all that. But there's nothing more satisfying with doing something that you take pride in, like that you care about, you genuinely care about. I used to sit at that desk and I made a living, just decent living, I guess. But like, I was so bored and so unsatisfied. Um, it took some pushes, took some pushing by some very special people in my life, to kind of make me realize, yeah, it's gonna be hard, but like, life isn't a dress rehearsal, dude. This is it.
Right.
I mean, as far as we know, this is it. It'd be cool if it ain't, because I do some things different. But like, if this is not a dress rehearsal, like do it now. And if that means you're doing it at 20, or if that means you're doing it at 50, or if it means you're doing it at 70, shit, fuck it, just do it. Sorry, first.
Okay.
But
No,
yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So
I love the passion.
yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
um, I do want to ask before we kind of wrap up things, what do you have coming up in the future? Like as a filmmaker, I know you have your own bit, like what other narrative, documentary, creative projects do you have coming up?
So the thing that is I'm really excited about and working on right now is a documentary called Black Mask, and it is spelled Blacmasc or C
Okay.
Bamasc. Anyway, so what it
Ah,
is,
I
there
see.
you go. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Okay.
it has like dual meaning. I really want to dive into what uh like the definition of Black masculinity. And for me, dude, I've been like wrestling with Black masculinity all my life. For the longest time, I felt like I didn't live up to it, and I was ashamed of it because I was like, wow, it's not like a real man. But like, but it took me learning to understand that no, that's bullshit. Like,
Right.
and I want to investigate that from my own perspective, also from like the perspective of my loved ones. But I also want to talk to like everyday people. I plan on talking to like scholars and people who like know a lot about this, like psychologically and like history and everything. Um, I feel like a lot of uh, people who identify as masculine or men and are black. they live half lives because you're not, you know, in my opinion, as a black man, you're not really allowed to have the full gamut of emotions and full gamut of experiences.
Yes,
And that's the tragedy. Like there's nothing, dude, there's nothing worse, in my opinion, nothing worse than a life not fully fulfilled. Whether that is, I mean, it can be a simple life, but if it's really not fulfilled, if you're stifling yourself, if you're giving yourself a ceiling, then that's just, I mean, that's criminal, you know. And a lot of that stuff is societal. A lot of it's generational. I can speak to that personally, you know. So that's what the documentary will be about. I plan on shooting it for more than a year. I really want to give it like the time it deserves. So thinking like maybe 2.5 years, and have it come out in a couple years from now. So
yeah, there's so oof, that is so much. There's so much you can say about that. It's even just like the barbershop experience alone, like that
yeah,
right there,
yeah, yeah,
baby. Let's talk about that. Like, oh my,
yeah. Yeah, and
it's
it's and like so I lost my dad a long time ago, but like this is something I wish that I could have shown him, and I want to show this to my uncles, and I just because honestly, when you get to a certain age, at least the men in my life and my family, they're not going to change. That's fine, but it is important for them to at least see it. Like, hey, if you ever had these thoughts in your head, you're not crazy. Just understand that. And I think that's important for people to see. Like again, we're not a monolith. We can we can be all the things. So
exact.
yeah.
Thank you. That is perfectly said, and I
No.
completely agree. Before we go, can you just let everyone know where they can find more of your work, where they can follow you if they want to keep in contact with you?
If oh, that's cool. Thank you guys for joining us on this thing. You can reach me on social media at Brody's work. That's Brody's underscore work. Uh yeah, just on everything for the most part. Yeah. So I would do that. Thank you so much.
Great. And I want to thank you again, Bobby Bess, for talking with us, having a conversation with us about this amazing film, Tens Across the Board. And if y'all really, really, you should come and see it with a crowd because there's nothing better than watching a movie that you get all the feels for with like-minded people and hearing those reactions. It's going to be screening Saturday, October 5th at 8 p.m. at Outfront Theater as part of Out on Film, and it will start virtual screenings October 6th. Please come out to the screening, watch it virtually if you can. And again, Bobby, thank you so much.
Cool. Are you gonna be at the festival?
Of course, I'm gonna be at the festival.
Oh,
I'm gonna be
that's
there.
what's up. Hey, one more thing. Do you
Yeah.
do you know do you know Jeter? Jeter. He said he works at the theater. Anyway, he's in the film. So you'll see. We'll
Okay.
see. I'll make an introduction. See you. All
Perfect.
right. Okay.
Thank you so much. Of
Thanks so much. Take care.
course.